everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Let Out. And we are here with a true icon, someone that I've looked up to for so long, and I'm so impressed by her work, Miss Issa Rae.
Hello, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
And you probably get this all the time, but I always wanted to say Issa Rae McCoy.
Okay, I see what you did there. I've never gotten that.
That's crazy.
No.
Well, I'm glad to be the first.
Are you proud of
that? It never has happened again. But I'm glad to be the first. But I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. It's so exciting to have someone like you, I think, especially on my particular journey. Something I heard all the time in high school.
Bees love me, so I'm just trying not to.
It's okay.
lose my
It's
mind.
okay. He's been trying to be in the parking lot all week.
Oh my God.
But when I was coming up in school, in like 2010, the mantra I got from all of my teachers was find someone with a resume who's done what you want to do and you follow their resume. And there was no one with a resume. You know, I found myself doing things, going to school for things that I was just passionate about, wanted to learn more about, but hadn't seen someone put into action the type of work that I wanted to do until you started doing Awkward Black Girl, until that became Insecure. And so honestly, if you never heard other people say it before, we say it all the time on the Twitter, in the houses, whatever, but you are the blueprint. And how does that feel? Does that feel like a lot of responsibility?
It doesn't, because it's like, it's just a path. And I appreciate it, you know. I think that's like, I felt the same way of just, you know, there were these people that I aspired to, but it always felt up here and it felt unattainable. So the fact that people can look at, you know, my path, no matter how jagged, and be like, oh, okay, well, I can make something straight out of this and see that light at the end of the tunnel, then that makes me feel good. But I don't feel like it's up to your discretion to do it, you know, and beware. And, you know, people like you in particular have done it and killed it and are blazing the path for others. So that's dope to me.
Thank you. That means a lot, especially just like you said, you being in that place makes the other people with the power to give opportunity more comfortable because they've seen it and they're like, okay, I understand this. And I guess when I asked about responsibility, what was it like going through the process? Like, did you feel like you were pioneering or trailblazing, or did it just feel like this is my particular journey, these are the hurdles I'm facing, and it's rough just because it's going to be rough?
For the most part, it was the latter, because I think when you just have such a specific goal you want to accomplish, all you're thinking about is like, oh, this is in the way, this is in the way. And I think there was an awareness that like, this is in the way because I'm a woman, this is in the way because I'm black, this is in the way because I'm a black woman specifically. And then the more and more I started to achieve and the more meetings and access I had, then it was made clear to me like, oh, you're meeting with me because now I'm a black woman and you're looking at other black people as an example or as a cautionary tale based off of what I do. And that felt like, oh, then we got to do it right. And if we got this opportunity, then I definitely want the people around me who look like me to go through this with me, because it's never fun to be alone.
Yeah, that's real. That's love. So I have to ask, that must have taken a lot of discernment and self-awareness for sure, but also confidence. So when you were writing Awkward Black Girl, were you still in that place, or were you becoming and looking back on who you might have been at a certain time?
When I was making Awkward Black Girl, was I in what place?
Like, were you in a place where I'm still an Awkward Black Girl? Do you feel?
Yes, what you mean? Yes, I was like very much feeling that way, and I just had to get it off my chest because I was so frustrated. Like, I was like, I want to see this specific type of character on television. I've been asking it for so long, and I've been procrastinating about doing this for so long. And this is me. This is some of my friends. So I just want to see it. And so when I finally decided to make it, it was just about calling the friends that could help me to do it and doing it. And I was still very much like living in that truth, living in that awkwardness.
That's dope. Hold for sound.
I know, right? This is Inglewood, Plain and Train Central.
All good. So you mentioned you wanted to see a very specific type of character, and I've always been didn't realize it as much, but wanted to be an actress since the time I was a little girl. And I was coming up during a time where there were Negroes in the room at Disney Channel, as well as Nickelodeon. And they were giving me Penny Proud, they were giving me Cheetah Girls.
Yes.
I really feel like the Buzz on Maggie, that was a black girl,
I don't know
a whole
what that
fly, but a black girl, I feel.
I have literally never heard of the Buzz.
And that's okay. That's okay. It was definitely, if you were there, you were there. But I felt empowered, and I could imagine myself on screen and telling these different stories. And for me, I feel like film is really important in that way, because not everyone's a reader. But it's just the opportunity to imagine yourself different, especially in a place that has very strict stipulations on what you should be able to do, what you are able to do, what access you actually have in any realm of life as a black person, as a black woman. And myself as a history buff, I have appreciation for black history films. I do. I love seeing those things reenacted, receiving instruction in a different way, but I also think film and cinema itself and the way black people have engaged it is another method of making history. It's another method of impacting black communities, and I wonder what that meant for you.
I mean, it means everything. One of the things that I lament right now is that sometimes, I guess in this new iteration of our culture, there's not a wholly shared experience, and that's what I love about the films of the 90s and even the early 2000s, is that we were generally, for the most part, watching the same things on film and television, and that was a shared sense of community. Those were like our jokes, and those inspired the moments that we had with our friends and our family. And I think in some ways the internet allows for that now. Like there's a shared language in some ways, there's shared visuals, there's meme culture and all those things, but there's something so impactful about people and artists creating bodies of work with black people in mind for us to consume. With black people, should I keep it going?
Yeah, we're good.
There's something so special about artists creating for black people with black people in mind, and us consuming that, and that becomes our culture and ours alone. And so like that's always inspired me, and I've wanted to create stuff that is cherished by us for years to come, because I know that was the same for me and my family. Like there's so many inside jokes that we share from like the Wayans Brothers movies, or Eddie Murphy movies, or Robert Townsend, like that. Those are my familial memories, you know. And so if I can aspire to do that and do that for other people, like I feel special.
Yeah, and you have done that, absolutely.
Thank
Insecure
you.
was a culture shifter, and it gave us something to rally around, and a different kind of black girl to rally around. And I really appreciate you making that character too, because I read in this book by Brittany Cooper, Black Feminists Discovered Her Superpower, or something like that, but it was like sometimes the worst heartbreak a black girl can experience is rejection from other black girls.
Whew.
And being in school, and the thing that we have to aspire to are the popular girls, or the girls who seem to have all this confidence, who seem to have all these friends and just know how to move throughout life. It felt so good to see someone who's like, I'm here, I'm happy to be here, but I'm figuring it out, and I'm working towards that. So that was a phenomenal thing to be able to experience on screen, and also empowering to encourage someone like me to engage the space, even when you are awkward, even when you are not sure or less confident, still engage the space and get the thing done. And I always talk about confidence as a muscle that needs to be exercised so it can show up when you need it and perform when needed.
Why didn't she say that to me in my younger days? That's so real.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because there is such a, I don't know, even within me, but I think even culturally, such an urge to be humble and grateful and to operate in that space. And I think I've exercised that muscle so much that I haven't exercised the confidence muscle, and I'm getting better at that now, but that's the real way to put it.
But I also love how you execute it, how you do exercise, even if it's like joking or meant to be funny. Like it still feels so good to hear somebody be like, nah, I'm that girl. Like Lala most recently crying. I have the same feelings, Lala, but I didn't know that I could say that to the people. It's me season. Like these are the mantras, these are the affirmations. And so
Right.
beyond what you're putting out as far as content on film or TV, like you yourself are also helping shift the culture.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate you. But yes, so when we reached out to you initially and asked what films you might be interested in talking about, we noticed some patterns. One, we got a lot. Didn't expect as many, and the vast array of them we thought was so interesting. But you mentioned School Days, and I saw you
Yes.
had on the Jigaboo costume.
I did.
And Insecure once. You mentioned Love Jones, and the photograph has such a similar feeling to the
Shout out
film.
Stella.
Meteor Man, and now you're about to voice Spider-Woman. So were these things intentional? I guess we're going to come back to that question because
Okay.
what I have to ask you is when you started with Awkward Black Girl, did you see yourself in a position like you are today to be able to do these things? What was the plan?
The plan, there wasn't a plan. There was a plan. I think the plan was like, let me just put this out there and see what happens. I was directing and writing at the time, you know, on the internet anyway. And so for me, it was just about getting that archetype out there because I was complaining so much. But before that, absolutely, I wanted to be creating those films because they inspired me. I, like, prior to Awkward Black Girl in college, wrote a film inspired by Love Jones that was in the jazz world. Co-wrote it with a friend from college, and like for us, we were so inspired by those films that we wanted to. We missed them, and that was in probably like 2005, 2006, and so. Like even then we were like, we're missing these movies and they're not here anymore and we want to create them. And then it would take me, the photograph came out in 2020, and then, you know, the films that came out before that, it took us so long to be able to get that kind of representation on screen again. So it was definitely a desire of mine, but it was just hard. And, you know, when you have the powers that be that are like, there's no audience for these films, they're telling you this to your face, even though last time I checked,
yeah, I am.
you know, yeah, exactly. I'm telling you, this is what we want to see, and I know people want to see it. And you have these gatekeepers who are frankly out of touch and don't know, that are telling you what Black audience want to see. Then, you know, that was discouraging for a while, but that's why I switched mediums.
And how often do you find yourself in a position to where you have to build the thing?
That's so funny. Someone was asking me, I can't remember who, Sarita, shout out to her, but she was asking me, like, what's your dream role to play? And I was like, oh man, it's very specific. And I was telling her about it, and she was like, well, so are you just gonna have to like write it? Cause that's super specific. And I was like, damn, I guess so. So yeah, like there are moments where I feel like I have to, if I want to see this happen, I have to do it. But I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And that's also why I'm so big on collaboration, because there's so many talented people out there, and I've recognized that in the past, especially in our communities and especially in this industry, you get so much glory when you do it by yourself. Like people are so in a rush to be like, yeah, I created it, I wrote it, I directed it, I did this, it's mine. And I have no desire for that. I love working with people. I love making my shit better. I love making people shit better. Like, and there's just such a beauty in that collaboration with one another that I value and cherish.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. I mentioned today on the parking lot in the script that what you're doing with horizontal networking and encouraging that to be custom for upcoming creatives is so important, because in this industry that is so white and is so homogenous, only a few of us are supposed to be getting these opportunities. So for there to be entire shows being purchased and you're like, oh, I already have someone for this, I have someone for this, like there's so many jobs being created and platforms for people to step on to build their own careers. So I think it's really, really revolutionary what you're doing, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to making history while Black. You know, I think people assume a very particular type of trajectory for myself because of the different topics that I talk about, when in reality, I talk about things like politics, I talk about things like education, because we need to have better vocabulary for the individual spaces that we're in.
Absolutely.
And if you can get this information and apply it to your area of expertise, like the domino effect spreads, like the effect is wider. But at the end of the day, I'm still telling stories.
Yeah, and you're making them palatable. Like you're making them just accessible for every, like the number of times people have shared your videos with me that I'm like, oh, this is how you're gonna learn about this. Oh, okay, because you weren't gonna learn about it in this way, but this is the method that is gonna reach you, and that is extremely powerful. And we can't take that for granted, because I feel like there's a way that only we can talk to each other and only we can connect with one another, and that is such a superpower. It's an underrated superpower.
Well, thank you. It means a lot. All right, so back to your movie selections. Would you say those were your top 5?
Don't do that to me.
Okay, all right, sorry.
You already said I submitted too much. But no, I would say that those were the first ones that came to mind that influenced me, that are the reason that I'm here for sure, and that are some of my core family memories.
So when you came up and saw something like a School Days, were you at all interested in going to an HBCU?
When I saw School Days, the first thing that stood out was just the Greek culture, because it was so prevalent at my school. And my brothers went to HBCU. I visited. But I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is. I want my own path. I wanted to be in New York, because my brother after he went to Morehouse, he went to school in New York. Oh, no, he worked in New York. And I was like, this is the life I want. And I didn't get either. But like, I had a great Black community on our campus. And when I saw School Days, the Greek culture reminded me of the culture on our campus, because it was like strong. It was heavy. And I was like, I want to make a play about that. And I want to use School Days. So that was like the first play I ever adapted and directed, and I brought it to Stanford's campus. So it holds a special place in my heart. And I had to ask via letter Spike Lee for permission to put on his play, and I got a letter back like, yeah, for sure, do what you need to do. And when I met him, like I stood in line for hours at a San Francisco event to meet him, and I brought my little poster, and I was like, you gave me permission to do this? And he was like, wow. And he signed it, and I still have it. And it felt like permission and validation to do what I'm doing now.
How many other people that you admire have you met and had a similar experience?
I mean, I got Gina Prince Bythewood after making an episode of Awkward Black Girl that was referencing Love and Basketball. She had reached out, not knowing that I had reached out to her when I was 16. She had reached out and was just like, oh, you know, I peeped the love, thank you. And I was like, oh, shit. And I probably sent her a screenshot of the email that she sent me when I was, young, and was like, you have no idea how much you inspire me. And, now I have a relationship with her, and it's amazing. But there's so many people who I've admired and looked up to, who've supported along the way, having no idea how much they've impacted me.
So what's your take on Love and Basketball?
I've already seen the internet discussions, girl, because even the way that you asked it, like,
I just, like, as an adult, no, it's fine. It's funny because we can have these conversations about like what it means. I always root for Monica was better than Q. Correct. He was playing about everything, including her.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
No argument for me there. I think, looking back on it from a different lens, but that's so many projects now. I would look back on and be like, oh, it could not be me, sweetie. Sorry. But it was the fact that it existed.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It's good that we can have our debates about it, but the fact that it exists speaks volumes, because it's just a story about love. Yeah. It's a story about Black people being in love. 2 Black kids who love basketball and fall in love, and to have space for that outside of, imagine being someone with a master's in African American studies and just walks anywhere. Oh, that's racism. Oh, that white person was giving this vibes, But just to be able to exist, and my favorite word to describe it is quotidian. Probably learned it in undergrad, but just every day.
Yeah. That's French.
Is it? That's cool. I like that. Took French class. Didn't know that.
Okay,
crazy. Crazy. But I'm glad it can exist. So we can see ourselves existing. We can just see ourselves being anything we want to be without the weight of all the things that comes with being who we are.
Yeah, and that is fully freeing. You
Yeah.
know, and that's the space that I love to operate in. It's just with that ideal.
Have you ever seen Fun and Fancy Free?
No, I had to look it up, and I was like, "What is this?" Because
Yeah.
when I saw it was in 1947, I was like, I was worried
Yeah.
looking it up.
Yeah.
But I get it.
It's just for those of you who don't know what Fun and Fancy Free is, it's a Disney movie, 1947. You know, when I looked up the year when I was writing the script, I was like, oh, that's crazy. I probably shouldn't like this movie. But when I was little, it was just a bunch of cartoons. It was a bunch of fantastical world. I think one cartoon is about bears going through all kinds of like love and heartache and mystery and triumph, and then it's Mickey, Donald, and Goofy just doing whatever. And I liked it so much, and I still like it really because the title speaks to this is what the imagination personified looks like. Just bubbles and clouds, whatever experience, excursion, whatever, and that being limitless. And I want that so bad. I want that so bad for us. And I think the work that I'm doing is to get us in a place where we can be intentional about operating like that. Because there are so many different things that happen in this world outside of the film industry, what everyday people go through, that can distract us from the possibility of just existing.
Say that. I think I think we all want that too. And I think that for too long we've been, you know, we've been told in some way through images, through, you know, the kind of subconscious messages that this is not possible for us. And again, one of our superpowers is that we're able to persist and defy on a continuous basis. But for me, that's beautiful, and that's Mecca.
Yeah, and maybe one day. But I'm also grateful for the steps it takes to get there, like the steps on the journey for us, for me and my team to be here today talking with you. Like we've recited all the words to dreams and nightmares at least 3 times in the past 24 hours.
Do you believe, what was it? I can't remember who was saying that Uzi's I Just Wanna Rock has surpassed that as the anthem.
That's crazy.
I can't remember who said it, but Meek Mill wasn't happy.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for that. Thank you for
I'm on the side
that.
of Meek, so. In this particular instance. We're just really excited to be here and grateful and humbled to be in a place like this and enjoying every single step of the way as we embark on a path such as the one we're on, with a goal such as the one that we have, which is liberation through storytelling. And I have to imagine, because every time we see you on the internet, every time we see you doing anything, you look like you're having a great time. I know things are stressful in between, but what would you say is the thing that sticks out most that you've learned on your journey thus far?
I'm extremely grateful. Like that is, it sounds cheesy, but I was just thinking that I was gonna say I was praying, and I was, for something else, for the people around me. And you know, when I was praying, I was just overcome with how blessed I am to be in a position like this, having seen and been a part of my own journey, but just even stepping back to look at, you know, how far I've come with the people around me. Like that's so special to me. And to have so many of the people in my life who have been a part of the journey, who have made it possible. Even my last birthday, like my birthday that just passed, I was feeling down about it. I was like, dang, I just feel like I'm running out of time. I'm obsessed with time. And then what got me through it was just even thinking about particular people in my life and friends, and how they have contributed to so much of my confidence, who I am. Like I'm having a good time because I love the people around me, and I'm true to them, they're true to me. And I don't think that I would be operating in the same space, same headspace if it weren't for them. So that to me has been the biggest lesson, is just loving on the people around me and appreciating them and being grateful for them.
Where do you see yourself? What I would ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? But I feel like I hate that question myself. I feel like
Thank
anybody
you.
everywhere hates that question. But there wasn't a plan necessarily at the start. But what is the plan for you now?
Now the sky is kind of a limit,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to do everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I am very specific. I'm also one of those people that doesn't like to say plans because I don't want to jinx them, but there's so many things in so many different sectors that I want to explore, but it's growth with a mission. You know, I don't want to grow for the sake of growing. But my grandest plan is to have, a studio in South LA, to be able to create these different pipelines, and to just be more rooted in community.
Okay. I feel you on that.
What about you? I'm curious.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't think I can see that far yet because there are so many different things that I want to do. Education is really important to me, and I feel like I want to do something with the education system, but because I'm so heavily influenced by performance arts, I want it to be something that kids can grasp to. I feel like teaching high school was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because kids will let you know if you're whack, if you're not doing it right, and just what is going to grasp their attention. And I feel like before kids get out on their own, that is the most important time to affirm their sense of identity. And the best way you can do that is give them receipts. So I want to be doing something in the education system that marries the two worlds, but I also want to be writing, directing, I want to be acting, I want to be producing, and I want to do things separate from the education of it all because I don't enjoy administering lessons on the nose. I want it to be wrapped up in narrative. I want it to be wrapped up in plot and experience and humanity, so that when it hits a person, they're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to learn. I guess I was a little bit trash in that way, but not even that it's not that bad, but I can heal from that. I can be better. And it's weird to say that I want world peace, but I want better people in the world.
Yeah.
So that's what I hope to do from my work. And we'll see what that looks like.
That's way better than my answer.
Okay. But now I'm going to need a studio to go to be like,
hey,
can I
talk
do this?
about it. Let's
can I
go.
do this thing? How do you feel about it?
You're going to have it.
But thank you. I appreciate that. Who gets to play Issa Rae in the biopic?
Who gets to play me? I would say I would love for Marseille to play me. I love Marseille.
That's
Martin.
beautiful.
She's outstanding.
She's amazing.
I should be so lucky. But yeah,
That's
I really
it, girl.
love her.
That's it, girl. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Love that for you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much again for your time. It's been an amazing conversation. I've learned so much. And
Likewise.
I just wish the best for you.
Likewise.
I really want the best
I
for you.
can't
Thank
wait.
you.
I love it. I love to see it, and I know the best for you. Like, I know it's
Thank
happening.
you.
So
Thank you.
appreciate you for having me and all of y'all.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for coming to another episode of The Let Out. We will catch you next time. And that's a wrap. Happy Black History Month.